Well, what I saw was where there's a really deep division between the communities. There's an existing mine that Eldorado Gold has been operating for some years. They bought their way in, and they've got this mine, and they've got a bunch of neighboring properties that they want to develop, including a really big open pit gold mine. And it's very contentious because it's an area that really depends on fisheries and agriculture and tourism. And an open pit gold mine with a cyanide heap leach operation, right in the forest, will not only destroy that area, but also, really, I think, endanger a lot of the rest of the economy there. And the economy is in desperate shape already. I mean, they're suffering from austerity measures. They've lost employment. They've lost all kinds of ground in the last couple of years. The economy is shrinking, and the Greek government is turning to foreign investors to try and rescue it, when in fact the only success that I saw there was actually locally based business and the tourism and beekeeping and things that are still going and that can be built on. So people have been really struggling with this. There's really strong opposition to this new gold mine, but the company is using the existing mine and the mine workers there as basically as shock troops because they're convinced that they have no future if this other mine doesn't open, and they'll go and counter demonstrate and really push for this new operation to open, and it's a really difficult situation on the ground. People are really struggling with it. And what we were doing, actually, this was part of a project with a Dutch organization called SOMO, which works on transnational corporations. And they were tracking Eldorado Gold, which uses a series of subsidiaries in the Netherlands, which is why the Dutch group was interested in it, in Barbados, and in Greece, to really set up a structure that ensures that they don't have to pay taxes in Greece. So whatever the economic rescue that the Greek government is looking for from foreign investors, they're not actually being very careful, because it seems that since they've started this drive, actually more money has disappeared internationally than has come into the country. And that's really what we were looking at with the mining project was the company is making all these arguments in favor of destroying this forest and this mountain for a mine. And they're all bogus. They're talking about the jobs it'll create. Well, it won't create very many jobs, and it'll displace more potential employment and economic activity than it will create. They say it will be environmentally safe. Well, we know that's simply not true. And they say that it'll contribute to the Greek economy, and we've now shown that that doesn't have to happen either. Well, they've been fighting the legal processes, the environmental assessment process and the permits and so on. They've been critiquing these things all the way through, going through the documentation that the company provides and showing that it's false and showing that, and that really hasn't made much of a difference, because they've gone ahead, and in fact one of their other projects in northern Greece was put on a fast track, meaning they don't even have to comply with the environmental regulations, because it's it's in the national interest to have this project developed, and they've been blockading. So they've been very successful up until recently in keeping the company from being able to get into the property and do its work. But they've suffered incredible repression from the police. Last year there was a series of police attacks on the demonstrations and the roadblocks, and they basically chased people into town with batons and tear gas. They fired tear gas into people's vehicles. They fired tear gas into the school, and they've gone as far as to conduct dawn raids on people's homes, and now they're now, I think, supposedly 3 illegal criminal organizations that they've identified in the community, which are basically just the local opposition to the mine. But people are now under both police and legal repression for their work, and they're still determined, but there's limits now to what they can actually do. Part of what we did was a public meeting in Thessaloniki, and there were people there from Zambia, from from Kenya, from Uganda, from Romania. So both within Europe and internationally, there's a fair bit of awareness of what's going on there. And the problem is that the Greek government is really following the prescriptions of the Troika and Germany in particular, Germany and France, in restructuring its economy and destroying what's left of the small economy in order to benefit transnational companies. Well, it's really limited what we can do. I mean, we can really try and raise awareness that this is the nature of austerity. This is the nature of what Greeks are being put through in order to keep the banks afloat, and not for their own benefit. And look at how that affects us. And we can also look at Eldorado Gold, which has support from the Canadian government, the Canadian Embassy in Athens. Export Development Canada has a big loan to the company, and they've been confronted with this, but they haven't really, had to face a lot of pressure on it. We can always write letters to the company and say, look, we know what you're doing, and whatever you're doing in other mines that you have, this one in particular we're concerned about. I think the other thing that people can do is look at their own, whether it's the Canada Pension Plan investments and writing to the Pension Plan Investment Board, or if you have your own union pension, company pensions, that kind of thing, RSPs. These are all, a lot of these are invested in extractives and in particular in these mining companies. Well, I think it really shows the importance of the international solidarity and being able to bring to the Greeks the idea that, not all Canadians are like our ambassador. We're not all prostitutes for the mining industry. And, a lot of us actually still maintain the kind of social values that we have historically tried to uphold, and we want to try and find ways to support people there.